Liberty in our lifetimes in a free state of our own. That's the vision. That's the dream. We are building it in New Hampshire. I'm Eric Brakey, your host and renegade statesman for the Porcupine Report. Welcome to your source for porcupine news and free-range conversation on matters of liberty. All right, let's hop into the show. Hey there, all you porcupines, This is your host, your renegade statesman, your executive director of the New Hampshire Free State Project, Eric Brakey, coming to you for episode 89 of the Porcupine Report. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, we bring to you every single Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. a brand new episode going through things that are happening of relevance to the New Hampshire Free State movement, and having great free-range conversations with movers and shakers, both in New Hampshire and across the broader liberty movement around the country. And maybe sometimes even the world, but mostly around the country and New Hampshire. Of course, this is on the Free State Project Facebook, X, Spotify, YouTube, and many of your favorite podcasting platforms. Wherever you're consuming this show, please be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever makes sense for the platform you're on. It really helps us build the audience for the show, which it does. It grows. I mean, we get thousands and thousands of viewers and listeners every single week, and that is thanks to you. So please keep sharing. Please keep spreading the word, and all liberty lovers will love to tune into the Porcupine Report. Of course, as we get going, I do want to mention our sponsor for the show, which is Porcupine Coffee Roasting. A good cup of coffee. You know, Porcupine Coffee is from right here in the Free State. They get fresh beans from around the world. They bring them here. They roast them, and it's fresh, great coffee. I love it. I get a fresh batch shipped to me every single month, and you could too as well. And we've got a deal with our friends at Porcupine Coffee Roasting. When you go to their website, porcupinecoffeeroasting.com, and you use the code PORKREPORT, you get 15% off your order of individual products. And, you know, every month they send me a shipment. I get a little note with the shipment saying, hey, more and more people are using that Pork Report discount code and making purchases from Porcupine Coffee Roasting. So those of you who have been getting your coffee, you know, real Free State coffee, none of that Folgers BS, thank you. You're supporting the show. You're supporting a great private membership association from right here in the Free State, and you're getting great coffee while you're at it. So use our discount code Pork Report at porcupinecoffeeroasting.com. Get some great coffee. I do enjoy it, and I know that you will too. All right, into the show. Our other thing I'm always wanting to promote, aside from great coffee, is a great opportunity to make tax-deductible contributions to support the most effective libertarian strategy in existence today. And that is, of course, the Free State Project. You know, we are coming up to the end of the year, and I know that so many people, as you approach the end of the year, you're looking for those opportunities to get those tax deductions and to really know that your dollars are going towards causes that make a difference. And the Free State Project, our concentration strategy as we reach out to the liberty diaspora around the country, we promote so that people learn about what's happening here. We go around, we outreach and connect with liberty lovers. We build events so that we can invite people to come and visit. We welcome them as they move, and we engage with people as they build liberty institutions and liberty projects that will stand the test of time. And we really depend on our patrons to support our year-round mission. And I have a goal right now. I want to get to 270 Porcupine Patrons by the end of the year, which is fast approaching, believe it or not. It's already mid-November, so we're talking about like 6 weeks from now. And right now, we are at 241 patrons. Actually, that's a big leap from where we were. This last newsletter I sent out, which, by the way, if you aren't getting the Free State Project newsletter, you're really missing out. You should sign up at fsp.org for that newsletter. The last newsletter we sent out was apparently so effective that we had 13 new people sign up since this past Friday to be Porcupine patrons. And I've been sitting down the last couple days putting together thank you packages for them, including their very own Porcupine Patron lapel pin, which they get to wear to show that they put their money where their mouth is in supporting the most effective liberty movement in the world today, building an actual free society, not just sitting on the sidelines complaining about everything that's going wrong with the world. So they get that Porcupine Patron lapel pin. They get to wear it and brag about it, but it also gets them special perks at events like the New Hampshire Liberty Forum, which we're going to be talking about in a little bit today. So we just need 29 more patrons before the end of the year to hit our goal of 270, and I would love to count you in. So please go to fsp.org/give, sign up to become a Porcupine patron. You'll get a handwritten thank you card from me, your own Porcupine Patron lapel pin, access to our Porcupine Patron Signal group, and a whole bunch of other benefits besides, which you can learn about at fsp.org/give. And so thank you to all 241 of our Porcupine patrons. And speaking of that newsletter we sent out this last Friday, boy, it was a good one. It featured a recent love letter that we received from one of our statist. Well, she's not really our friend, but boy, the things they write about us, the things our adversaries write about us, you would think that they love us. I certainly read it, and I'm just moved to tears, like how wonderful the things are they write about us. So I want to read to you some excerpts from a recent Substack article by Democrat State Representatives Anita Burroughs. She wrote in her recent Substack. Here's a few excerpts. You've probably heard of the Free State Project, but you might not realize just how much control its followers now wield in Concord. Their libertarian ideology has spread quietly but effectively through the legislature, shaping decisions on taxes, education, and public services. What began as a fringe movement has become a political machine. While there is no official count of legislators aligned with the Free State Project or libertarian ideology, credible reporting suggests that well over half of the 221 House Republicans regularly vote with the Free State aligned bloc. For the 2025-2026 legislative season, this bloc has a stranglehold on the House, chairing most committees, controlling assignments, and shaping the state's budget and policy priorities, particularly around taxes, education, and public services. At the top of this power structure stands House Majority Leader Jason Osborne, one of the most dominant leaders in recent memory. His authority, built through party discipline and the Free State Network, ensures that a small, ideologically rigid minority can dictate the direction of our entire state. This bloc has had a sweeping impact on legislation in both the House and the Senate. They drove the dramatic expansion of the school choice program. They have sought to repeal licensing and regulations for daycare, healthcare, and housing. The horror, the great horror, at least if you worship state power, that sounds so horrible. But if you love liberty, it sounds great to me. And if you don't have the privilege of being here in New Hampshire, where the Free State movement is, producing antagonistic responses like these, ask yourself, in your state, does your liberty movement get statists complaining about it in this fashion? I find it hard to believe. It's very unlikely that you get love letters like these, but we get them all the time. So anyway, it's nobody sells the Free State Project better than those who hate us because they know that they're losing and they know that liberty is winning. And you know what? There are 49 other states where if they want statism and they want tyranny, they can find it. But here in New Hampshire, we will keep New Hampshire free, and we will keep making it freer every single day. So thank you to Representative Anita Burroughs for that wonderful love letter. It touched my heart. I do want to mention, as we've been doing outreach, we are trying to build support, identifying more folks in New Hampshire who are free staters and they don't know it. They share our views and they want to be a part of our community. And we're always working to bring more people to New Hampshire who share our values. Just this past weekend, I had the great opportunity. I drove all the way down to the state convention for the Libertarian Party of Connecticut. Met dozens and dozens of great people, including a few people. When they heard this love letter, so many people were coming up to me afterwards and were saying, I think I need to move. I think this is where I need to be. So we might get a few new movers out of that. And if nothing else, I've told them about our events, including the upcoming New Hampshire Liberty Forum. They want to come up and visit. And New Hampshire, of course, at very least, we are serving as a liberty hub for the entire liberty movement around New England. So whether you're in Connecticut or Vermont or Maine, when all these liberty movements kind of mix and mingle and share ideas with each other, it's going to be in New Hampshire because we're the staging ground for liberty in this part of the country. And really, we're leading the entire country when it comes to freedom. But I do appreciate too. I just had my 4th stop on my own personal Free State Project tour. I've been going to Republican town committees around the state. This is partly in response because some of the anti-Free Staters have been doing a tour to Democrat committees around the state, and I figured, well, all right, well, let's get the word out and let's talk to some people who share a lot of our values. And I know I was anyway. I've been to a lot of Republican town committees, and I'm coming to more. If you look for that in the Free State Project newsletter when you sign up at fsp.org, and maybe I'll see you at one of these events. There's plenty more to come. So, all right. Let's get into the big part of this episode, which I'm looking forward to welcoming back to the program. The founder of the Free State Project, who is also one of our co-producers for the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. He's going to be leading production on the Liberty in Practice dialogue series. We'll be talking a little bit about that. His name is Jason Sorens. Jason, welcome to the Porcupine Report.
Thank you, Eric. Great to be here.
Yeah, well, glad to have you back. Really glad to be able to collaborate with you on the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. I should say for everyone, we haven't, I guess, formally announced it until just now. We are officially opening ticket sales and announcing the 2026 New Hampshire Liberty Forum, which will take place March 5th through the 8th. So that's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Though really the Friday and Saturday are the the bulk of the content there. And tickets are going to be on sale at NH Liberty Forum. I think it's .com.
That's right. NHLibertyForum.com. All
right. Yeah. Yes. .com, not .org. So NHLibertyForum.com. Tickets. We was a huge success last year. We had a new format with a lot of big main stage content that was more fast going, and then some longer in-depth dialogues where someone kind of goes in depth on a topic and takes feedback back and forth with participants, a small group for 80 minutes. It was very successful. We're bringing that format back this year. And Jason, I really appreciate you stepping up to help run the dialogue portion of this. Frees me up to focus on getting some of our major, some of the other major speakers in for the main stage. So anyway, Jason, what can you tell people about the dialogue series that we're putting together for Liberty Forum this next year?
Yeah, so this is sort of a great secondary track to the main stage talks. They're much more discussion based. So we're calling them Liberty in Practice dialogues. And each one is centered around a proposal for how lovers of liberty can essentially live their lives better, make the world a freer and better place, but also sort of look inward and make themselves more effective. So I wanted this series to not just be political or policy focused. I mean, it will have that as well, but it's going to go beyond that. So we've got topics like what can homesteading teach us about self-reliance? We've got is financial independence key to regaining your freedom? So those are a couple examples of talks that will be followed by discussion that are really kind of useful to you in your own life. But we also have one on what can libertarians do to make their ideas more popular. and then one that's much more political, which is Puerto Rico, statehood or independence. So that'll be kind of interesting, and what does that mean for New Hampshire is kind of one of the elements of that. And so these are centered around really short talks, so 20 minutes, and then we have a discussion, and that discussion is intended to be private. So it's a way to kind of get around a table and say what you really think. And part of the rules will be no one can live tweet what you're saying, right? No one can attribute, even afterwards, specific comments to specific people. It's called Chatham House rules. So we're also capping registration at each session at 25. And we're going to get a good group of people around a table, and we're just going to discuss each of these presentations. And the presenter can also enter that conversation. So you'll have a chance to kind of ask questions and go back and forth. And we'll have a dedicated moderator who will manage that discussion and kind of keep a queue. And so the idea is to really get everyone involved around the table, get your thoughts and questions out on these pretty interesting and provocative topics. I'll also mention that you too can be a presenter for one of these dialogues. So if you have a good idea, it could be a policy idea, political idea, strategy, something that you think people should know about, you'll be able to submit that idea at the Liberty Forum website, nhlibertyforum.com. You'll see a link there to a Google form where you can basically put in a summary, an abstract, if you will, of your proposal, and we'll review those and get back to you. And we hope to take several of those suggested sessions. So I think I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be a fun and exciting way for people to not just kind of sit back and take in useful information, but have that really interactive element.
Yeah, lean in and actively participate in the idea. I know I did a dialogue last year. I know you did as well, Jason, and I got a lot out of it. I know I presented on an idea I was floating around in my last term in the Maine Senate, of tax nullification, how the states can try to nullify unconstitutional federal taxes. I got a lot of great feedback from people, constructive ideas, how to improve the idea, make it work even better, things I hadn't even thought of. It's a lot of very, the kinds of people who come out to the New Hampshire Liberty Forum, even just the attendees, I think are a cut above as far as discourse and intellect. And I got so many great ideas out of it. So I'm sure that those who are presenting dialogues this next year will certainly find that the feedback is very productive. And I know I'm debating myself whether I want to submit. I sometimes take on too much, so we'll see if I've got the bandwidth for it. But I'm debating myself if I want to present a dialogue again this year, and because I've been talking so much, particularly with how bad things are going in Maine right now, with red flag gun confiscation passing and taxes getting worse and worse. About inspired by one of our dialogue presenters last year was a gentleman from the Greater Idaho movement, where Eastern Oregon is trying to break away and join Idaho to escape, Portland, Oregon, and their political influence. And I've wondered, maybe the second district of Maine needs to break away and join New Hampshire. We need to have a greater New Hampshire movement. So part of me is tempted to submit to do a dialogue on that. So no promises, but it is tempting.
Yeah, I mean, I'd look forward to reviewing that idea. I mean, it certainly would be a way to get Mainers to come, right?
That's a good idea, actually. That may help get some ticket sales from some of our Maine folks, and maybe even if Greater New Hampshire never happens, at least they'll come visit and they'll get a taste of what is being built here, and maybe they'll decide it's time to move. So, all right, you're selling me even more on it, Jason.
Last year I did one as well, and it was on is the Free State Project working? And it was a really fun session. We did it. So what we're doing this year is kind of based around what I did in that session that I thought ended up working really well. So hopefully, I think it will work for the other sessions as well. So we just got in there and we changed the setup of the room, and we just made it a hollow square. So they put tables in a square and then put chairs all around. And so we were all in a circle, and I had a few handouts. So I didn't even do slides, but I had some handouts with data visualizations about how New Hampshire has changed on freedom indices since the Free State Project people started moving to New Hampshire and getting elected. And I did some statistical tests. Like there are actually some ways you can do this. It's called a synthetic control method, where you try to come up with a counterfactual. What would New Hampshire have looked like without the Free State Project? You compare it, the real world New Hampshire, to what would have happened without the FSP. And it generated a ton of discussion. Not everyone bought it. So the conclusion, spoiler alert, is I did find that the Free State Project had a fairly massive impact on freedom in New Hampshire, especially when I compared New Hampshire to Wyoming, which was the second place state in our state vote. And the trend lines kind of go in opposite directions. Wyoming down, New Hampshire up. Since that time, but not everyone bought it, and that was great because we had some really vigorous conversation around the table, and that's my goal with these, is that people will say what they really think, and that presenters will go into it wanting that, that they'll want some pushback, right? Because that's how we kind of come up with better ideas and sharpen our kind of our proposals. So anyway, that whole session, the work on which it's based is now a chapter in a book manuscript that's under review. So,
awesome.
So it's definitely helpful to me personally to get that feedback.
Awesome. Well, and I know it's not scientific like the process that you're working on, but our adversaries in New Hampshire certainly seem to think that the Free State Project has had an impact too. So I figure that.
Yeah, well, that is a big testimonial. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to Liberty Forum. I don't know about you, but I thought the venue worked really well last year. I think this is probably the best venue we've ever had for Liberty Forum. The food is relatively decent as hotel food goes.
I don't think we've even mentioned where it's going to be, but it is going to be in the same place as it was last year, the Grapponi Conference Center in Concord, New Hampshire, so in the state capital. Wonderful facilities. I know you and I were just there for a fundraising dinner for another organization. Anyway, it's a great facilities. And last year was our first time there, so we've actually learned how to use the space a lot better too. Looking forward to optimizing things. And we've booked every single room in the space this year. So we aren't like last year. There was like some other groups that had some rooms, and we were it was a little weird.
Yeah.
Now we've got every single room available, to the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. And we are also, we're going to be investing a little bit more into better AV. So we've got really good products at the end that we can use for social media. All of this does kind of raise our expenses a little bit, but after kind of doing some soul searching and talking with the production team, I want our audience to know we're keeping ticket prices at the same price as they were last year. Inflation is happening. Our expenses are up, but we are keeping ticket prices the same place they were before. And that's $150 for a general admission ticket, $300 for a VIP ticket, which gets you access to not just the conference, but it gets you priority registration for the dialogue series and the Friday night dinners, and it gets you access to the VIP keynote Saturday dinner. And also there's a VIP lounge that you either have to have a VIP ticket or you need to be a Porcupine patron to have access to. So anyway, so all the tickets are on sale now at nhlibertyforum.com, and people should go and get their tickets. And I should mention too, because I know that we also have a great kind of student population in the Liberty movement, and there's really great active group of young Americans for Liberty at UNH that's growing. So we do have student rate tickets that are available for $100. So that's a discounted rate. And And anyway, and if anyone has a real hardship, let us know. We'll try to work with you. We want to have good people there.
I should also mention in that regard that if you do submit a proposal for the Liberty in Practice dialogues at nhlibertyforum.com and it's accepted, you do get a free VIP ticket to Liberty Forum. So that's a nice little benefit as well.
Absolutely. You put something in and you get something out.
Yeah.
So
the other thing I'll mention that's great about Liberty Forum that I've heard from other people in the Liberty movement who've come to Liberty Forum, they say, every Liberty movement event should have this, which is a kids room. And we're doing that again this year. So if you want to bring your family, we have volunteers that are watching kids. So I think one of the things you'll find is that FSP events tend to be very family friendly. We want families to come.
Yeah.
And so that's a nice little benefit. So, after the success of last year, I wouldn't be surprised to see Liberty Forum get to 300 attendees this year. We'll see.
Yeah, I think as David Friedman noted in his Substack article after PorcFest, compared to a lot of other liberty and libertarian communities around the country, the Free State movement really is, has a lot of families. Where freedom for freedom is I guess a lot of folks' philosophy. So we try to have all of our events be very family friendly, and there will be a childcare room. If you do bring your kids, please do expect to to pay for some babysitting services, but that will be available right on site, like right in the hotel that's connected. Like you don't even have to go outside, just down the hall. So it's like far enough away that kids aren't going to be running wild and disrupting events, but close enough that you can be there within 2 minutes to go check in on your kids. So it's a really good setup. And I do want to mention, because we haven't announced yet, we've been talking about the dialogue series, which is I think such a great new feature from last year that we're bringing back, and was such a highlight for people. But on the main stage, we are starting to book speakers, and we have one speaker I'm looking forward to announcing today. So as we launch and kick off the event, I want to announce that Bob Murphy will be joining us on the main stage at the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. Bob Murphy is an American economist. He's associated with the Austrian School of Economics, my favorite school of economics. Holds a PhD from New York University and a BA from Hillsdale College. He serves as a research assistant professor at the Free Market Institute at Texas Tech University and is a senior fellow at the Mises Institute, where he's authored books like Contra Krugman, Critiquing Mainstream Economic Views. He and Tom Woods used to have a podcast together called Contra Krugman, where they were always kind of going after Paul Krugman and his very backwards economic ideas. In fact, the whole Tom Woods cruise started as the Contra Krugman cruise with Bob Murphy. I know when I was on the Tom Woods cruise this last year, I noted that it was missing something, which was Bob Murphy, but we had him at PorcFest, and now we're having him back at the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. So we're looking forward to having Bob Murphy on the main stage at the New Hampshire Liberty Forum this March 5th through the 8th. And we'll be announcing more speakers as we move forward and we get closer. So, and I know that on the main stage content, we try to kind of break these up into different kind of content blocks that are around different themes. And the overall theme for everything this year, the umbrella theme, is build freedom, right? We're not looking for conversations on, look at how bad the federal government is. Like, there's a lot of things to complain about, right? We know that tyranny is bad and there's a lot of tyranny, but what can we proactively do to build a better future, to build a free society, like we are doing every single day in New Hampshire? So that's why, we're focused on build freedom at the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. Tickets on sale now.
Yeah. I think New Hampshire Liberty Forum has always been a center for ideas, right? It's a place where people go if they want to learn about what's going on in the liberty movement, what's going on in New Hampshire, and I think we've continued that. I mean, this is where you go if you care about public policy, right? You care about becoming freer. You care about other people's freedom, right? This is the place to see where really the liberty cutting edge is happening at the state level. So if you're interested in, even if you live outside New Hampshire and you're, maybe undecided about whether you move to New Hampshire or not, but you want some lessons on what New Hampshire is achieving and how we're doing it, this is a place to come. We're going to have some panels with legislators, I'm sure, and wonks on stage to kind of go through, what are the areas where we're really advancing the ball on freedom into new areas. So I don't want to step on any toes in terms of what will be announced. So I won't do that. But, there's some very interesting bills in New Hampshire this year that have been filed that would sort of, quote unquote, nullify federal intervention or find ways around federal intervention in various areas. That could be really interesting. So, hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about some of those exciting new vistas in pro-freedom policy at Liberty Forum.
I'm looking forward to it, and we're building it all now. So, Jason, now you're in a unique position to have kind of watched the whole Free State movement over the last 22 plus years take shape, and the New Hampshire Liberty Forum itself. I think if I recall, the first New Hampshire Liberty Forum was 2007, 2008. I know what Ron Paul was at the first one, and John Stossel. Could you tell us a little bit more about like the history of the New Hampshire Liberty Forum and how it's developed over all these years?
Yeah, the first one was 2007. It's always been held in winter, or last year we went to very early spring.
Yeah, I liked that, but
yeah,
we're a little earlier. We're kind of on the cusp between things, early March. So
yeah, I think one of the original ideas was to show people that New Hampshire winters are not that bad, especially in the southern part of the state.
Yeah.
And so I think it's been successful at that. But
yeah, we had the New Hampshire Liberty Forum in winter is not in Lancaster up in the North Country.
Right. That's right. Which as a winter sports enthusiast, I would enjoy going up to the mountains in winter. But not everyone is. Yeah, I understand that. But yeah, we had Ron Paul and John Stossel at the very first one, and I remember hoping and talking with FSP president at the time, Varen Swearingen. Is Ron going to announce his presidential run at Liberty Forum? Because he hadn't announced yet, and we were hoping that maybe we would get the announcement since he was coming to New Hampshire. But he ended up doing it back home in his home district just a couple weeks later. And then in 2008, Liberty Forum was held right in the thick of the New Hampshire primary. And so there's still videos on YouTube of, Ron Paul kids mobbing the CNN bus during Liberty Forum. They came up for Liberty Forum, they stayed, and some of those people who came up and worked on the campaign actually never left New Hampshire. And so I know one of them, and actually his family came up, and his sister, his parents have moved to the state as well. So that was exciting. And over the years, we've had some great speakers. We had Edward Snowden. That was a memorable one. He kind of remotely joined us from Russia, and we all had these little cutouts with his face in the audience. I
think that the photo of that is still on the front page of nhlibertyforum.com for those who want to see it. And while they're there, they get tickets.
And Nick Gillespie from Reason Magazine interviewed him. So that was a good moment. We've had Joel Salatin speak. We've had Naomi Wolf, Judge Napolitano. So we've had some great prominent speakers. Radley Balco, back when he was doing the Rise of the Warrior Cop stuff. So yeah, we've had a lot of people from really working on all sorts of issues, and a lot of it very practical. We've had people talk about, here's what to do if you're stopped by the police, right? We've had talks on those sorts of things. A lot of talks on education freedom, so navigating school choice in New Hampshire, navigating the homeschool laws. We've even had panels with non-libertarians. Sometimes we've had discussions. I remember we had a panel, I think this was at the first Liberty Forum, on the Patriot Act, and we had Maggie Hassan, who at the time was I believe a state senator, later governor, now U.S. senator, Democrat, not very aligned with us on a lot of issues, but somewhat aligned on the Patriot Act, and so it's part of a panel discussion there. So not everyone who speaks is necessarily 100% aligned, but we try to foster these conversations on issues where we can find that common ground and generate a useful and exciting conversation for the folks in the room.
Oh yeah, I'll always remember my first New Hampshire Liberty Forum. I think it was 2014. I was invited to come and speak. I don't even remember what I was speaking about. What I do remember, though, was Tom Woods was the keynote speaker, and he did a fantastic job. But beyond that, I remember, maybe it was even earlier. Maybe it was 2013. I don't know. But people were pushing Bitcoin.
Yeah.
and someone, I don't know, it could have been Eric Voorhees for all I know. It could have been Bitcoin Jesus, Roger Ver for all I know. I don't know who it was, but someone helped me set up a Bitcoin wallet on my phone and gave me 5 cents of Bitcoin, the first Bitcoin I ever received. And shame on me, I did nothing with it. I let it sit there for years until I opened up that wallet a few years later and it was worth $10, 5 cents to $10. And I just thought, boy, the Free State Project and the Free State movement is really kind of like on the cutting edge, like where these new ideas are being discussed right before they break out and go big and huge. And shame on me for not recognizing the full potential there when I had the early opportunity. I could be funding the whole Free State Project right now if I'd moved on that more. But I know we got people out there who did move on this sooner because they heard about it at the New Hampshire Liberty Forum, and they've got a lot of Bitcoin wealth, and they of course should become Porcupine Patrons so that we can keep making New Hampshire freer and freer. Always got to plug that. Any other fond memories you have from New Hampshire Liberty Forums across the years?
Yeah, I mean, I would say one fond memory was having the former governor, Craig Benson, who originally invited the FSP to New Hampshire, and he came and spoke, and then we had one of these kind of VIP dinners, and I managed to sit at his table. It was very interesting talking with him. This was probably 12, 13 years on after the FSP chose New Hampshire, just talking with him about, how things had shaken out, and he was very pleased, that there was this really strong liberty element now in the Republican Party. That really, there was a little tiny bit of it when he was in office. Not enough actually in many ways for him to get stuff done when he was in office, and so now it's much more than he could have ever hoped for, I think. So that was kind of a neat connection to restore. We've had some fun times. I remember, we've had some comedy nights that were fun. We've had even at one Liberty Forum, we had some live music. It's just varied really in terms of what we've offered. And I really think that, what we've got now with, especially with the Liberty in Practice dialogues, adds definitely a whole new dimension. I'll just mention in terms of, you're mentioning the kind of financial cutting edge in New Hampshire. One of our dialogues is with a guy on the Free State Project board who's been a very successful investor, Seamus O'Scally. And he is doing a presentation on kind of sort of some cutting edge concepts in investment. And this is that dialogue I mentioned on financial independence as key to freedom. And so he's going to talk a little bit about some of these cool ideas and opportunities that are out there now and kind of be a source for questions about all the new ways that are out there to build wealth. Nowadays people are talking about private equity, private credit. Some of those opportunities have expanded to the middle class now to get involved in ways that that previously only so-called qualified investors could get involved with. So another opportunity really to kind of be on the ground floor and learn from someone who's really knowledgeable in this area.
Well, I'll look forward to that, and yeah, I'm so glad that the dialogue series is coming back, and I hope that we manage to keep this as a fixture of the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. I think it really adds a level of a new layer and a level of depth that is nice to have. I'm trying to think. Boy, so we've covered our main stage speaker announcement. We've covered some of the history. People should definitely go to nhlibertyforum.com and get their tickets. And I will mention to patrons, to all of our patrons, I know that our patrons at certain levels of patronage, you can get complimentary tickets to events like the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. So that's a great reason to become a patron. And for all of our lower level patrons, I'll be sure to get them a discount code of some kind, because there are privileges to being a patron. So to our patrons who are watching, watch for a discount code to be emailed out to you in the very near future on tickets, as a thank you for supporting the year-round mission of all that we're doing. Yeah, I don't need to belabor. I think we've covered it pretty good, Jason. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up for this evening?
Yeah, I'll just say, stay tuned. If you haven't signed up as well for the FSP newsletter, that's a great way to also stay in touch with developments in New Hampshire, but also with Liberty Forum. Definitely recommend getting your tickets. You'll be pleased as we fill out the schedule. It's going to be a fun time in Concord. So look forward to seeing everyone there.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. And to reiterate what you're saying, with the newsletter, I can't tell you how many wonderful email responses I get from people, not just here in New Hampshire, but people in the Liberty movement all around the country who reply and say how much they enjoyed the newsletter, how it makes them feel connected and in touch and informed with what's happening here, especially if they're stuck in a state like California where maybe they can't move and they don't have any prospects for freedom. It gives them a little bit of hope and optimism, knowing that somewhere in the world, somewhere in New England, there is a free state that is growing and building, and that's because of all those folks who've made the move and are proactive builders. And going back to what you said about Governor Benson, I don't know that he is remembered as these days as one of the most consequential governors in New Hampshire history. But I wonder, in the long view of history, as the free state movement continues to grow, if he will be remembered as one of the most consequential governors for inviting the free state movement to settle in New Hampshire. So
yeah, absolutely. That would be amazing. I mean, he was governor for 2 years, but I don't know that the Free State Project chooses New Hampshire without Governor Benson's invitation. So
that certainly was it sounds like it was a big feature. Well, Jason, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and look forward to continuing to work with you on building a very successful New Hampshire Liberty Forum.
Thank you, Eric. See you at Liberty Forum.
I'll see you there. And I hope to see all of you at the New Hampshire Liberty Forum. Remember, March 5th through the 8th. So mark your calendar, get your tickets, nhlibertyforum.com, and tickets are on sale now. Become a patron. Remember, we just need 29 more patrons by the end of the year to reach our goal of 270 patrons. Please support our year-round mission and get all the benefits that come along with that. Subscribe to the newsletter, fsp.org. And if you have not seen the new website, go check out fsp.org. We spent months working on a brand new website that aligns with resources for people every single step of the journey, whether they're out there in the diaspora and they just want to learn about what's happening in New Hampshire and the history and what's being built here, to those who are ready to connect with us and get into our communications loops on social media, the newsletter, this podcast, things like that, to those who are ready to come and visit and experience New Hampshire for themselves with events like the New Hampshire Liberty Forum and events that are taking place all the time, year-round. Just look at the New Hampshire Liberty Community Calendar, and you will see events taking place every single day almost in New Hampshire. I know I just enjoyed, just this last Sunday, I was out doing a ruck, a 6-mile ruck up and down hills with weight on our shoulders with a bunch of free staters. Like, it's not, these events are not just people sitting around and talking about Murray Rothbard. I mean, there's plenty of that if you want it, but it's like rucking groups, knitting groups, potluck dinners, all kinds of different experiences, building community with people who share your values and your interests. So check out the calendar at fsp.org and come out for some events. It's open to you year round. So for our visitors, we always love to have you. For our movers, we are always looking forward to welcoming you, helping you plan, prepare, and execute your move with a nice welcome wagon the moment you arrive. Friendly free staters ready to help you unpack your U-Haul into your new home. And once you're here, we want to engage with you so that you can participate in building really cool stuff that will stand the test of time. Because that's what we're building. We're building an intergenerational project for people who want to live free. So all those resources and more are at fsp.org. Go check it out, and then go to nhlibertyforum.com. Get your tickets. I'll look forward to seeing you in Concord this March. All right, everyone. That's the show. I want to say thank you to our producer for the show, Renita, for all of her work, making us look so good from behind the scenes. And of course, she produced the brand new welcome video, which you'll see right on the front page of fsp.org. If you haven't seen it, it's wonderful. It's 7.5 minutes. It's almost like a 7.5 minute documentary on the Free State Project, mostly because a lot of the footage comes from a documentary that she is actively working on, which I'm looking forward to when we start to see some of that come out as well. But be sure to check out that video. Thank you to Renita for all of her work, and thank you to all of you for tuning in and supporting the show and sharing it with your friends. So on that note, furthermore, my opinion is the Federal Reserve should be destroyed.